Remember this chant?
No, we are
Alright.
not. My number 4 is
I don't think I remember Mark, but that's okay. I'm
Alright.
sorry that.
Gene, are you okay?
What happened to him?
Second.
Massive heart attack.
Really?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Bethlehem Zoning Hearing Board. I beg your pardon, this is actually a special meeting of the Bethlehem Zoning Hearing Board. My name is Bill Fitzpatrick and I'll serve as chair for tonight's hearings. And I would ask you to note that we are seating only a 3-person panel tonight. To my far left is Jessica Lee. Terry Novotnik is immediately to my left. Attorney Terry Fall will serve as solicitor and provide legal advice to the board. Mr. Craig Pfeiffer, the zoning officer for the city of Bethlehem, is at the far right. Jean Genova is our court stenographer who will be taking a formal record of tonight's proceedings. And we'll walk you through the proceedings as we go. But one important thing to note that if anyone is here for what had been item 4 and that of 2854 Linden Street, that hearing is continued until March 23rd and it will not be heard tonight. So there will actually be 3 hearings, Craig? 4 hearings, I beg your pardon. 4 hearings tonight. And the way things will work is the person or group making the appeal will be seated at this table. We will swear in anyone who will be testifying or wanting to ask questions on that matter. The appellant will have an opportunity to present evidence or their case, as it were, to the board. Prior to actually opening the case, our court stenographer, Jean Genova, will swear in anyone wishing to testify, along with anyone in the audience who might wish to ask questions. I'll help walk people through this, but the procedure we follow is that it's a testimony of the appellant, followed by questions from the board, after which time it would open for any questions from the audience. And only after all the questions and testimony from the appellant are received will I open the floor for testimony or comments from members of the audience. I would ask anyone asking questions or making statements to avoid repetitive questions or statements, and I would advise anyone aggrieved by the decision the board makes tonight may appeal to either Lehigh or Northampton County Court within 30 days following the issuance of the written decision of the Zoning Hearing Board. And prior to actually opening our first hearing, tragically, we lost a member of our board within the last several weeks. Attorney Mark Malcolmus passed away very suddenly. And I would respectfully ask everyone to observe a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you. The other piece of business, which is administrative, sadly, by losing Mark, we have to replace his position, and that is a position of alternate solicitor. And with the permission of the board, I would like to place a nomination. Attorney Stephen A. Strack, who is with the firm of Steckel and Stop LLC.
I'll second it.
Thank you. If there are no other nominations, there's hearing none. Craig, I would ask you to please call the roll.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Novotnik,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for understanding that we had to take care of that matter. So with that, we're going to move on to our first hearing, which is that of 806 Linden Street and the appeal of Kayla Carnes for a special exception. Ms. Carnes, can you tell us when the property was posted?
The property was posted, I believe, 2 months ago.
With the yellow card we're talking about?
Oh, no. That was posted, I got it a week ago.
Okay. So we're okay. Would you or anyone else who will be testifying or questioning in this matter please stand, raise your right hand and be sworn in? Would you please?
Yes,
Thank you. Mr. Pfeiffer, will you give us the facts of the case, please?
Property is located at 806 Linden Street. This is the appeal of Kayla Carnes for a special exception to convert one non-conforming use, personal service salon, into another non-conforming use, retail clothing. This record lot is 20 feet by 100 feet or 2,000 square feet and is located in the RT High Density Residential Zoning District.
Thank you. And before we ask for testimony, is the nature of the special exception only the conversion from one non-conforming use to another?
Correct.
And there are no parking or other issues to deal with?
Correct.
Thank you very much. If we could call on you, Ms. Carnes, to make your appeal to us.
Okay. Hello, my name is Kayla, everybody. I'm the owner of Desire Attire. Today I'm here to... Gotcha. Is it better now? I'm the owner of Desire Attire. Today I'm here to change 806 Linden Street to one non-conforming use to another. It was previously a hair salon. I would like to change it to a retail clothing boutique. I've had my brand for over 3 years, and I'm just looking for the opportunity and space to grow. My boutique will consist of my own brand, local clothing brands, and so much more. The store is located on a maintained street. There is also plenty of street parking for the store on the main road and intersecting road as well. I think my store would be a great contribution to the neighborhood and surrounding businesses.
Okay. Questions from members of the board? Ms. Lee?
Do you currently own the building, 806?
I do not own the building.
Are you renting or?
Correct.
Okay. Parking is not an issue. It's a public street. I don't have anything else right now.
Thank you. Mr. Novotny, why don't we change it? Can we get you that microphone right by your left hand? That one, yeah, please, Joseph.
Is it only going to be yourself in the store, or are you going to have employees?
Just me.
I have no other questions.
Thank you. Can you tell us what your hours of operation will be, Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday?
Monday would be 12 through 5. Tuesday through Saturday would be 12 through 7, and Sunday appointment only.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
No problem. Monday would be 12 through 5. Tuesday through Saturday would be 12 through 7, and Sunday appointment only.
All right. And can you describe the general character of the neighborhood where you're going to be located?
The neighborhood seems to be a great neighborhood. There's schools.
Is it mainly residential, or are there other businesses?
Yeah, it is residential. There is other businesses nearby. There's a barbershop on the corner, which is called Legends, and there's actually a tattoo shop on the other corner. It's Satoria Inc.
Can you talk to me about deliveries that might come to the store to get the inventory that you'll be selling?
The inventory, most inventory would probably be delivered to my house. That's
And
what
you'll transport it to the store.
Yeah, that's the way I've been doing it from there. So I probably would keep it the same way.
Okay, so there will be no truck deliveries of any kind of
No,
so you'll be selling.
no.
And the line of products, is it purely clothing, or is it cosmetics as well, or anything else?
No cosmetics, just clothing and accessories, sneakers.
Can you talk about, just very quickly, trash removal from the site? How much will be generated? How frequently you plan to have it picked up?
Trash pickup would be on Mondays, and I believe it's every week.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Fall, did you have any questions for the record?
I do have a few questions. What is the current use of that property?
It was a hair salon.
Okay, do you know when that salon use ended?
I guess when the landlord put it up for rent, and that was probably like 2-3 months ago.
And compared to the prior use of the property, do you see that there are going to be any more noise or smoke or fumes that generated on your property based on what it was prior to your property?
No, there's no construction that needs to be done to the building.
Okay. I have no further questions.
I do have one follow-up. Your customer base, how do they get to your place? Are they people that are mainly walk-ups, or are people driving over to your location?
So I have a pretty much of a good social media following. So it'd be either walk-ups, but most of the following would probably be from social media. They would see my page and come from there.
Okay. And then lastly, I believe you described the immediate neighborhood as primarily residential homes or whatever.
Correct.
How does your business fit in? How will it be harmonious with the neighborhood?
I think it would help the neighborhood with the kids that are coming up in the area. They'd have a place for them to be creative and just shop.
Thank you. Just one last, yeah, Jessica, go ahead.
One more question. Do you have online sales?
Yes, I do.
Online sales?
Correct.
Would you be shipping, like taking orders and then shipping from?
So from the store, I'd probably package the items from there, and then I would go to the post office to ship out.
You would take them
Yes.
instead of have a truck
Correct.
come?
I have no further questions. Are there any questions from members of the audience? Seeing none, did you have any additional testimony you'd like us to consider?
No.
All right, thank you. Then, Gene, we're going to go off the record, and I don't think we need to go outside, or do you? I don't. Yeah, why don't you come over a little closer?
Do we need to mark these?
As part of the application, it was part of the application.
Carry any advice?
No, I happen to be familiar with this property.
So am I.
And, you know, it's, there's really very little reason to object.
I agree. I agree.
No condition.
I can't, unless there's a concern that you have with respect to something that was testified to.
I have none.
No, I don't.
If not, would one of you make the motion, the other
I'll
second,
do
please? Yep. Gene, we'll go back on the record, please. And may I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the property and the appeal of Caleb Carnes for 806 Linden Street for a retail clothing salon or store.
Thank you.
As a special exception use.
Yes, as a special exception use to convert one conforming to another.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Ms. Lee,
Yes,
Ms. Novotny,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yes. Your appeal has been granted. You may want to wait for the written decision or coordinate closely with Mr. Piper. But I wish you all the best in your
Thank
new
you very
business
much,
venture.
guys. I appreciate it.
Good luck,
Thank you. Have a great night.
and you
you
too.
too.
All right, time to change chairs here. And the next hearing will be that of 280 Luna Street and the appeal of Michael and Gretchen, you pronounce it Devers or Devers? Devers. First of all, can you tell us when the property was posted, or do you need Attorney Raschuti to?
The 28th of January.
Fine. You get that? I was supposed- Okay, in which case, sir,
No, I said you need me to speak into the microphone.
I need to speak, oh,
No, do I need to?
Yes.
The 28th of January.
all right, thanks. At this time, would you please stand and raise your right hand so you can be sworn in? And Ms. Evers, if you may be testifying or whatever, just to be safe.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Piper, may we have the facts of the case?
This property is located at 280 Luna Street. This is the appeal of Michael and Gretchen Devers to construct an accessory detached garage, which requires dimensional variances to exceed the maximum height, 20 feet permitted, 23 feet proposed, and to exceed the maximum floor area, 1,000 square feet permitted, 1,780 square feet proposed. This is an irregular shaped lot totaling 19,743 square feet and is located in the RT High Density Residential Zoning District.
Thank you very much. Attorney Raschuti, good evening.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick and the board. I'm going to call Michael Devers. Can you state your name and address for the record?
Michael Devers, 2006 Renwick Street. Do you want the address?
That's fine.
In regards to 280 Luna Street.
And you're the owner of 280 Luna Street?
Correct. Yeah.
And that is also known as 129 Luna Street in some maps.
Yes.
Okay. It has two addresses. It's
I
kind
was say it must be a really big property.
it was 129, and then when he bought it, the county made it 280 Luna Street when
Okay.
they did the GIS
Got it. Yeah.
certification.
Thanks for
Um,
clarifying that.
No problem. And how long have you owned the property?
About 6 months.
Okay. Now, the property, what's on the property now?
An existing residence that was there. There was an existing garage and an existing shed.
Okay. And you plan to raise those,
Correct.
and you want to build a new house on that lot?
Correct.
Now, the new house does not need any zoning relief, correct?
Correct.
But you also want to build a 3-car detached garage as an accessory use on that lot.
Correct.
All right. Now, looking at the site plan, and I guess we call this A1, that's the top page of the packet I just gave you.
The 8.5, 11 by sheet.
Yeah,
Yep.
fold in half. Sorry, it's folded in half. Yeah.
Sure, one of them turn.
Yeah.
You get the full sheets.
The full sheets, I think, were given to you as part of the applicant, but
Okay.
all right. So,
Same as this.
Yeah, it's the bigger version for those of us without our reading glasses. And those of us who like to fumble in front of a microphone and holding paper. Yeah. Okay.
all right.
Thank you for your patience.
No problem. Now, Mr. Devers, looking at the Exhibit A, the site plan, is the proposed garage in the southwest corner of the property?
Yes.
Okay. And the existing residence and shed to be torn down are noted in the gray on that map?
Yes.
And then the proposed house is in the black outline there?
Correct.
Just to give everybody a lay of the land what we're talking about. And the garage is the double black lined in the south west corner of the property.
Correct.
Okay. Now let's just look at what's around this property. What's to the north of the property? Let's start that way.
Is the hill that goes down to Monocacy Creek.
Okay. And then what's to the west of the property?
Sharkin, which is it was the old paint mill, if anybody's familiar with that, but the old paint mill's there. It's Sharkin Realty, which is Pennsylvania Perlite Company now.
And there's a sharp decline or steep slope there behind the house that goes from your property down to Sharkin's, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then to the south, the lot there?
Is a city-owned lot
Okay.
with trees and it's just wooded.
Okay. And then to the east?
Is my uncle Mike Wagner's house.
Okay. So there's no real residences right around this property other than your uncle's, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, looking at what we'll call A2, this photo, is this the proposed 3-car garage or close to it?
Yes, correct.
Now, what differences from this to the one you're building?
We are going to have 3 10-foot doors versus that's a 3 10-foot garage doors instead of this looks like a 12 and 2 8s.
And this is a sample from the builder, correct?
Correct.
Okay. This is not actually built on his property already, just to clarify for the record. This is just a sample of what will be built.
Correct.
Okay. Now let's talk about the design of the building. How tall will it be?
Proposed to be 23 feet.
And that's from the front, looking at from the front of the building, correct?
Yes, from the front of the building.
Now, what is the size or area of the building?
It is a 30 by 40, which is 1,200 square feet.
Okay. And there's a second story in this, correct?
Correct.
And what is the usable space up there?
14 feet by 40 feet.
And that's 560 square feet, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, this isn't a custom garage. You didn't have someone design this for you, correct?
No.
In fact, you went to a builder, and this is one of their designed buildings.
Correct.
Okay. And who is the contractor who would be building it?
Stoltzfus Structures.
Okay. And where are they out of?
Leaditz, PA.
Okay. Now the result of the second floor, that's due to the nature of the design, correct?
Correct.
And this is going to have what we call trusses, correct?
Correct.
And the usable space up there is limited.
Correct.
All right. Now, I have a packet that's stapled together, and we'll call that A3. Is this a email and documentation from your builder?
Yes.
Okay. Now, looking at the email itself, this is from the builder. It does confirm that the attic space will be 560 square feet as you testified. And then there's a drawing showing the second floor design, which is 14 feet by, what do we say?
40 feet.
40 feet. And if you look at page 3 of that, is that the truss design that's for the roof?
Yes.
Yeah. And the usable space is only really between the trusses, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, so just to confirm for the record, the total square footage of the floor area is 1,760 square feet, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, for what purpose do you plan to use the garage?
Storage, basically. Mainly, I'd like to park my work van in there, but I have a boat, motorcycle, 3 kids with a bunch of essentials that go with them.
Okay.
Normal wear and tear stuff.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm an electrician.
Okay. And you work out of your van?
Yes.
So this won't be a home occupation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And do you keep valuable tools and other equipment in your van?
Yes.
So you'd like them secured in a inside storage?
Yes.
All right. You also said that you have a boat and motorcycle,
Correct.
and you like to store them inside.
Would love to.
And the motorcycles are currently stored inside.
Yes.
Okay. And then I have 2 other photos we just added there, and I don't think I sent these to Mr. Pfeiffer earlier. Is this can just describe those photos? And is that standing in the location where the garage is and looking out?
Yes, that would be standing where the garage would be, so the garage would now be blocking that.
All right. So the location of the garage would block kind of the noise and view of the paint mill, correct? Of the
Correct.
paint mill. All right. And it's something I guess you didn't really see when the
When the
leaves are on
leaves,
the
no, when the leaves are there, you don't see as much.
So, all right. Now, if you weren't able to build the garage to this size, would you incur expenses storing your boat and your motorcycles?
Yes.
Okay. And your van, what would you have to do with that?
Be parked outside.
Okay. Now, has your van been vandalized or targeted for?
Yes.
And it's been broken into?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the land that you're building on. What's the topography of that land?
It has a slight slope from southeast corner to the back northwest corner.
Okay. And if you look at the site plan, it's kind of noted on there, the elevation changes on it. And after you get off your property, what happens on both the west side and the north side?
They drop off.
Okay. Now, where's the location of this in the city, just for the board's?
It's in the center of the city. Just in if you look at it, it looked like it was a rural area, but it's in the center of the city by Moravian College.
Okay. And to access this property, there's only one road, correct?
Correct.
And that's
Luna Street.
Luna Street. And it dead ends at your property.
Correct.
All right. And Luna Street is how wide?
20 feet.
Okay. So it's a little more than an alley.
Correct.
All right. And if this is built, would it alter the essential character of your neighborhood?
No.
Okay. Now, this neighborhood's kind of a mixes of different styles of houses and buildings, and
Yes.
okay. And the main road on this property, just for the boards, Monocacy Street would be kind of where they'd access from Elizabeth Avenue, and then go up Monocacy, and you turn
Aurora.
onto Aurora, and then Luna. And will the building, would it substantially or permanently impair any of the appropriate use or development of any adjacent properties?
No,
And will this building be detrimental to the public welfare at all?
no,
And the variances for the height and floor area, are those the minimum variances needed for your structure?
yes.
I have no further questions for Mr. Devers.
Thank you. Questions from members of the board? Ms. Lee?
Yes, what's the elevation from the, you said the Monocacy is on one side?
Monocacy is behind, Monocacy is behind the house.
Behind, what, how high up from the Monocacy?
I don't have an exact measurement. I'm going to tell you the hill drops down probably 70 feet.
Okay, so there's no chance of flooding?
No.
That's I'm just curious, yeah.
And Miss Lee, if you ever came up Elizabeth Avenue from the paint mill towards Moravian College,
Yeah,
that's the hill that you would be coming up to get from the Monocacy to his house.
okay, I
Okay.
got it.
That's-
And you said you're an electrician?
Correct.
Yeah, are you gonna do wiring yourself in the
When we build the house,
garage?
eventually, when we finish everything, eventually, yes, we'll get the permit for everything and go from that route.
Okay, that's all I have for you.
Mr. Novotny?
On the left and right of your property, how close are the closest neighbors?
Left, he down the hill would be, if you're looking, are you looking from the south looking north? Is that the way you want to look at it?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
So to the left, they are 100, probably 200 feet down the hill.
Okay,
My neighbor to the next is my Uncle Mike. He is, I'll say 50 feet.
okay, so it's relative, and I assume that you go down toward those apartments that are at the bottom of the.
Yeah, if you would look, that's the photo looking left from the property. I think it was in the packet I gave you.
Didn't see 'em.
So that's to the left, the Sharkin Real Estate.
Are you talking about the apartments at the bottom of Elizabeth Avenue?
Yeah.
We are back towards Monocacy Creek, towards the, do you know where the train trestle is by any chance? At
Yeah.
the backside of,
Yep.
we're back there.
Okay, all right. I was trying to picture exactly where you were. I got it. There would be no plans to convert this garage into any type of residence in the future?
Absolutely not.
I think that's it for me.
Thank you. My only question, and I believe it was brought out in testimony, is that the hardship that you're overcoming, the irregular shape of the property?
Correct.
It is in the slope.
Yes.
And what you're proposing to add, is it typical to the height of other buildings?
Yes.
It sounds like there's only two that you're worried about, so.
Well,
Yeah.
correct.
I actually have no other questions. Attorney Fall, did you have anything you needed for the record?
The only question, I do have a question about Luna Street. Is this garage going to be located in the bed of Luna Street?
Luna Street was vacated last year by the city council.
Okay.
There was also a street that was just on paper. What was it?
Bushkill Street.
Bushkill Street. That was vacated also. That would run to the west of the property.
Okay, all right. And you testified you did not plan to put any residential structures within the garage.
Absolutely not.
Will there be any plumbing fixtures in there?
No.
Okay.
I may do heat if that accounts for, if you consider that plumbing, but that would be about all, like a heater of some sort.
I would not, but that's.
Okay.
I have no other questions.
Thank you. Mr. Pfeiffer, did you have anything you needed?
I do, thank you. Just for the record, the two photos, Attorney Raschuti, that you submitted, are we referring to those as A4 and A5?
That's fine. Yes, we can call those A4 and A5. I don't think I identified them. I'm sorry.
Sorry to step on your toes, Attorney
No,
Farr.
not a problem.
That's that advanced math there. We got the five.
And then if you want, Attorney Raschuti, you can follow up on this. I just want to clarify for the board, the application that you received calls for several different variances and an interpretation. That stems from when we first received the building permit for this project. That building permit was denied based upon an interpretation that the front yard was the lot line in which the house will be facing, which is the former vacated Luna. Planning Bureau has since modified that interpretation to have it be the eastern lot line, or that which touches currently Luna Street. That eliminated the need for relief to have an accessory structure in the front yard, the interpretation of where the front yard is, and for another part of the house where it says the garage door shall not face the street, but should face the side or other location on the property. So just to be clear, those all went away. Now we're just talking about the height of the accessory structure and the total floor area of the accessory structure.
Okay, thank you. One last bite at the apple, members of the board. Questions? Are there questions from any of the members of the audience? Seeing none, Attorney Raschuti, do you have closing comments?
I have no closing comments, just had asked that my exhibits be moved into evidence.
Okay,
and
thank
accepted. Thank you.
Thank you. Gene, we'll go off the record. Terry, we need to go outside on this.
I don't feel any need to, but that's up to
You're
her.
okay. Jessica, we'll just deliberate here. So
She'll be the only question. With any conditions, no plumbing.
well, and that it not be converted. One of you make the motion. Jane, we're going to quickly go back on the record. You ready? All right. At this point, I'd welcome a motion from a member of the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the appeal of Michael and Gretchen Devers be granted to construct an accessory detached garage at the residence, which they'll be building at 280 Luna Street or whatever it is.
And a second, please.
Oh, second.
Thank you.
Are there any conditions that the board would like to put on that grant?
Thank
The
you for that question.
Yeah, the only condition I'd like to put on is that the structure, the garage structure, not be converted to any type of living quarters as presented in their testimony.
Was there not a concern about plumbing as well?
Yes, and that no plumbing be allowed in the building.
Thank you. Mr. Piper, can we call a roll, please?
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Novatnik,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Yes. Your appeal's been granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next hearing is that of 801 to 803 Atlantic Street, the appeal of Frederick Ronca on behalf of Lovely Day Properties LLC.
I did, yes.
Yeah. Will you handle that, Terry?
No, is she going to testify? I didn't think so. By Zoom?
Will you,
don't even offer that
Terry?
Okay.
will you handle that? Yeah. Thank you.
Are the mics working tonight or?
They are.
Okay. I didn't know if you were streaming or not.
We are streaming.
Oh, but it says end stream. I thought it said no stream. Would it be possible to get an easel? Is it still out in the hall? I can get it.
No, we can do that. While we're doing that, Attorney Holzinger, can you tell us when the property was posted?
February 2nd, last week.
Thank you. And can you, I'm sorry, we're going to have to wait for Mr. Piper to come back with the facts of the case, so bear with us a second. We would like to make note of an email we received regarding this.
It's my understanding that you are aware of the email which was received from a neighbor, Christina Wagner.
Correct. The owner of 801,
Yes.
8th. Yes.
That email expresses some concerns that she has. The board will acknowledge that and will take it into evidence, but as you're aware, in order to take that into account for a decision, there must be something that's corroboratory.
I understand. I agree.
And we can confirm that Ms. Wagner is not here to testify or question.
Correct. None? No, you know what? I can hold it and he can point to it. How's it?
So Attorney Holzinger, it should be duly noted that tonight the microphones are working, but the easel is not. So, yeah,
Is this on? Okay.
yes, should be.
Is dominant?
Yeah.
We're ready whenever, if the board's ready.
Right, Mr. Pfeiffer, can you give us the facts of the case, please?
This property is located at 801-803 Atlantic Street. This is the appeal of Frederick Ronka on behalf of Lovely Day Properties LLC to construct a two-family detached dwelling, which requires dimensional variances for minimum tract size, 6,000 square feet required, 5,600 square feet existing, minimum lot area per dwelling, 3,000 square feet required, 2,800 square feet proposed, minimum lot width, 60 feet required, 40 feet existing, and to exceed the maximum building height, 35 feet permitted, 44 feet proposed. This record lot is 40 feet by 140 feet, or 5,600 square feet, and is located in the RT High Density Residential Zoning District.
Thank you. And Attorney Holzinger was long, did I ask you when the property was posted?
Yes,
Can you,
February 2nd.
thank you. Then you may proceed if you
Okay.
would, please.
I'm going to call our, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, we didn't swear at you yet. So,
Should we swear in for
Mr.
the
Valani,
next?
would you stand?
Should we do for the next hearing too?
You want to do everybody? Yeah, why don't we swear in everyone, please? Including anyone who may be questioning or offering testimony, either in favor or opposed. No one else going to speak? Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Attorney Holzinger.
Mr. Valani, you've been sworn. Would you state your full name for the record, please?
Dominic A. Villani Jr.,
And your address?
709 Jennings Place, Bethlehem, PA.
And are you a principal in Lovely Day Properties?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Are you here on behalf of the owner of the LLC known as Lovely Day?
Yes.
How did it come to pass that you're here to testify tonight?
I was contacted by you that Mr. Ronka was under the weather and couldn't come here, so you asked me if I would come on his behalf.
And you spoke to him and he authorized you to be here?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask, and if we could approach, I'll just hold this up.
Please.
Tom, if you want to come up.
Would you bring the long cord with you?
Now, I understand this property is in the RT zoning district.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you identify what this picture is showing and how did you take this picture?
This is an aerial photo depicting the property. This is the said property, which is on the southeast corner of 8th and Atlantic Street in South Bethlehem.
Okay, and for purpose of the record, this is Hillside
Yeah.
coming up,
Yes.
and then you would come down Bay Street.
And Hayes, which is an arterial,
Right.
is right here.
And what's the slope of these properties?
The slope of the property is about 12%.
Which way and how it's,
This way, I think it's 12. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's 12 this way, but I'm definitely sure it's 12 this way.
okay. And is this property, the subject property, slope
Yes.
significantly?
At the present point, no.
Okay. And when you say at the present point, why is that some excavation?
This property was a fill lot. So what that was is I could testify correctly that there was 8 to 10 feet of fill over the years put on this lot, broken concrete, tires, kerosene heaters, and debris that was on this lot, along with heavy vegetation. When it was cleared, that the owner discovered that it was all fill. So he started, when he cleaned the lot, to start taking some of that unsuitable material off site, and that's when he determined how much fill was on the site.
Now, from the aerial, it shows some trees, or is it really overgrown weeds and so forth?
Yes, I have another photo that depicts that.
Now, before we get to that photo, can you describe to the board the surrounding lot sizes and uses?
Okay. Directly across the street, there are 5 townhouses. The average square feet of those townhouses is 2,200 square feet. Directly east of the property is another one that I believe is 5 units, and that is 1,100 square feet. And these are, I have pictures of both elevations of both these and this one.
And when you say for these 5 across the street, the average, is it your understanding that when you do townhouse development, what you do is you average them so that the end units are a little bigger and the interior units are smaller?
Correct.
And that's just for purposes of setback on end units to your neighborhood? That's just for setback from either a street or an alley in this case. The setback has to be large.
Yes.
And is this a vacant lot over here, heavily wooded?
Yes.
Okay. And up here, what's up in here at the very top or very bottom?
This is due south. This is an apartment complex. I assume just by the type of construction it seems to be some sort of student housing.
Now, we're going to ask that this be marked applicants A1. Okay. We're going to go to the next one.
Jim, is that something that you're going to either email to me as a PDF?
Know your file folder right there. This is what we're going to ask be marked Exhibit A2. Dominic, starting in the upper left-hand corner, can you describe for the board what this picture shows?
This is the property directly across 8th Street, as I mentioned earlier, depicting the townhouses. The average square feet of lot for these townhouses is approximately 2,200 square feet this here.
Those are the 5 we talked about. The
That's
average.
correct.
And then in the upper right-hand corner?
This is a photo of the lot previous to being cleared. It's overgrown. If someone was driving next to it or parked on that side of the street, you couldn't open your car door because it was so overgrown, hanging out over the curb.
Down here in the lower left.
This is the property due east of the said lot. And like I mentioned previously, the average square footage of these lots are 1,100 square feet.
Now, just so we're clear, this is the alleyway behind
Yes,
the property
yes,
we're interested in. And then these are the homes as you go up the hill.
yes.
And is this a fair depiction of the slope that would continue
It's
the
a,
sidewalk?
it's a consistent slope, yes.
Now, in the lower right-hand corner, can you describe the board?
This is an elevation of what the proposed dwelling would look like, depicting a 2-car garage, front elevation, front entranceway.
And this would be facing,
It would be facing Atlantic Street.
okay, so facing west and then built into the hillside. so to
Yes.
speak.
Yes.
And you're proposing a 2-unit. This has one door here. Where would a second entrance be?
This is a common area where it would go up to the first living area above the garage, and then there would be a door there, and then the hallway would continue to the second floor.
And then we're going to ask that this be marked A3. And could you describe to the board what this shows?
This is another photo of the elevation depicting the front of the property and the side, what the side will look like. So it would be stepped back. So it would not be one full elevation. It would be stepped back into the grade.
Now, in addition, on the rear, the alley side, I understand you're going to have off-street parking up there.
Yes,
Correct.
there is an alley in the rear of the property, and there would be implemented a 2-car parking pad in the rear of the property also, with a proposed sidewalk to go to the side of the building.
So you're proposing a 2-unit, but you're going to meet the parking requirements for the 2 units. In addition, would there be ability to have parking in the driveway?
Yes,
So would it say even if a guest arrived, somebody could park off-street?
right. There should be approximately 6 parking places, 2 in the garage, 2 in the driveway, and 2 in the parking pad.
Okay. Now, the board something. So, last time I was here, I gave out a sort of cheat sheet. I thought it helped me out.
Thank you, Jim.
Hopefully, I didn't show you the credit. All right, Dominic, I handed the board what I'm going to ask be marked exhibit getting paid for at this point. And this is a chart showing the relief we're requesting. One request is for minimum lot width. You testified the lot is 40 feet.
Correct.
And for a two-family detached, which is for a dwelling unit with an up and down apartment, we need a lot width of 60 feet, but we're limited to the 40 feet that's here. Is that consistent with other lots in the neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay. Regarding the tract size, there's a requirement that in order to do a two-family, you need 6,000 square feet. But proposed or existing is 5,600.
Correct.
So the variance is 400 square feet.
Right.
The minimum lot area per unit is half of the tract size, or 3,000. We now have 2,800 square feet per unit.
Correct.
So we're asking for a variance of 200 feet. How do those lot areas compare? I think, can you mention again, what were they across the street and to the east?
The property due north across 8th Street was 2,200 square feet per unit.
So we're bigger than theirs for,
Yes. The property immediately due east was 1,100 square feet per unit, and both of those properties had 5 units in total.
now going back to the drawing showing the building. Make sure I get the right one. This is our marked exhibit.
Right.
There's a question on building height. We're showing our last one that 35 feet is allowed, but you're proposing 44 feet, but I think you really indicated it was 43.
It's 43 feet. Let me just, if I may. What really piques the building height in today's building is a few things. One, to do a building, most people today would like higher ceilings for a couple reasons. One, it gives the room greater expanse, but also if there's any ductwork or anything in the ceiling, it could be lost in there without having a claustrophobic look. In addition to that, because of more modern designs with open spaces, we need what are called trusses. Those trusses tend to be 18 inches high, so that adds to the height of it as well. In response to Jim's question, except for the garage here, this area from here to the top of the roof is less than 35 feet. It's only because we implemented a garage, if I may. On this property right here, this is the neighboring, if you can flip it. This is the neighboring house,
And when you say neighbor, in which direction?
right next to it, due south.
So
Okay.
this is your lot over here.
This is the property right over here. Okay? This house is the same as what we're proposing. It's right next door. What they did though, instead of putting a garage in, they put steps in the front. So theoretically, we could put steps in the front and backfill it and not have that variance. But if we look at this one, sorry, the gentleman has a car here. That's quite ironic. The car's there because it depicts where our garage would be. We only implemented the garage to make the neighborhood better. We understand that there's a parking issue with the townhouses. I read the woman's letter. I was touched by it in a couple ways, but the fact remains that by us putting the garage on here and the extra parking pad, we are allowing the rest of the neighborhood to park on the street. And I feel that in this case, because there's all the townhouses across the street, that this would be the best design for everybody, and it would free up any parking that guests for either this property or for the neighbors across the street.
If I may, Dominic, the height of this is that similar to what you're proposing?
Almost identical.
So what you're proposing is not something that would be new to the area. It would actually mirror it except for no garage.
Yes. In addition to that, there's a property right across the street, across 8th Street, and you can see the same thing. This has living space up top, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's similar in nature to height.
Will those photographs be offered?
We'll offer them as exhibits.
Okay,
Collectively, A5, anyway.
okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood which one
Right.
that was.
Right.
Right.
So so as I understand it, your testimony is by really doing the garages on the lower level, not only do you get the benefit of having 6 off-street parking spaces, but you also free up all the parking along the street, on the 8th Street side of this property.
Yes, and I will also mention that the developer, Fred, is going to have to put curb and sidewalk. There is some curb there now, I believe, but he's going to have to put sidewalk on the whole side of Atlantic Street. I'm sorry, 8th Street. So it's 140 feet of sidewalk, so that when people would park on the side, they can step right out on the sidewalk.
Would it be safe to say that this is a fairly unique property with the slope and its location?
Yes.
And you think that if these variances were approved, do you think they'd have a detrimental effect on the neighborhood?
Absolutely not. In fact, I think they'd have a positive effect by way of the parking, number one, by two, of a building that would be probably more of an affordable rent than what is down in the 5th and 4th Streets of South Bethlehem.
And is it your understanding that the variation, at least with respect to the chart that I showed with respect to lot area and lot size for dwelling unit, we're just slightly over 6% short?
Yes.
And with respect to the lot height, is it safe to say that if you hadn't done the garages, you could have just filled in the front and the elevator, and when you measure where height is, you kept it at the.
Right. One other thing I would like to mention, yes, is the front of the property, the frontage, because we're on a corner, there is 140 feet there. We just chose to choose that as the front. That would give the property a little more depth for parking in the rear.
In other words, we could have had the house that had faced north,
Right.
dealt with this slope
Right.
on the side, but it made
Right.
more sense. to do
Right.
it. And doesn't it fit in better with the neighborhood with the homes?
Yeah, yes. It looks like a single-family home.
So it's not going to be any higher than the one.
Not at all.
Won't block any additional. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Turner. Ms. Lee?
Is there any green space in the back
Yes,
with the parking
yes, ma'am.
pad?
Yes, ma'am. The building is going to be 48 feet deep. The driveway will be 20 feet, so that's 68 feet. And there's going to be a 20-foot parking pad. So there's going to be about 60 feet by 40 feet of green space of lawn in the back for between the parking area and the house.
They would enter the parking in the rear from 8th Street.
From the alley.
I could show you.
I'm envisioning Atlantic Street, and then
No, I
this is
understand.
going up the hill, correct?
Pardon?
This is going up,
This is at the base of the building.
and we're building up.
Okay. So the building would be placed here. There's an alley, Lamb Street, so there would be, you'd pull in the garage here, and then there would be a 2-car parking pad in the rear. All this extra would be grass.
Atlantic Street front, okay. Gotcha. I got them twisted right the other way.
Yeah, I was confused too.
I had to go up there.
I know where you're at. I'm just trying to envision
Right.
where the house is facing
Yes, yes,
and then what's happening in the back from another street.
yeah. Like I mentioned before, I believe his initial proposal was to do something facing this, but it would make these people park on the street. That's why he turned it this way.
Okay.
So,
And
so this will free up all this
And where's the home that looks similar?
right here and
Next
right here.
door? Okay. And the slope of the hill, that wouldn't cause a problem.
No, we're going to, I'm sorry for interrupting you. We,
No, that's all right.
no, because what we would do is build into it. So your garage on the picture that we have here depicts it. The hill is over here, so we're actually going to build into it. So it's
Okay,
kind of,
just visions of, once you dig into it, here goes the hill.
no, it's actually going to support it because the back of the building is going to be 1 story less. So
Okay.
the grade differential is about 8 feet.
Okay.
So if you were on this floor, you're just going to walk out a patio here. The garage will be totally underground.
Underground, right.
Yeah.
And then if I'm not mistaken, the height in the rear is about 24 feet or
Yes.
so on the alley side.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Novotny?
Could you back to the,
I'm not sure that is.
All right, go ahead.
So land it up on the.
yeah, so you're going to be in Atlantic and so okay, I can sort of see the slope goes up toward
Yeah, that's
toward
all right.
Lamb Street.
But
whatever
like I
that is.
said, we would build into the bank, and this parking pad would be somewhat
Right.
level.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Would you level with the second floor?
Yes,
The floor of the second.
right.
Thinking of fire safety, how another exit for the
Yes.
second floor?
Yes, yes. There will be a patio here, and then if this variance would be granted, there is going to be a deck that to get out on
Okay.
also.
From the second.
Yeah.
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 That's it. My only questions.
Thank you. I have no questions. Attorney Paul, anything you needed for the record?
Yes, I have a question. Is there any reason why you could not build a single-family home here? So you would not need the variance for the
Didn't-
two-family
Right. The-
attached?
The neighborhood is mostly multifamily, like we've testified. We have, although they're separate deeds, townhouses, all these are townhouses here, multifamily. These are multifamily here, and there's a big apartment complex here. I don't think it would be financially responsible to build a single-family house here. That, due to what's in the immediate area and also the improvements that are needed on this property, far outweigh the value of a single-family home there.
And if I may, Mr. Paul, our argument is that, as you know, with the same as Leonard versus the city of Bethlehem, if you go over 6% variation, it's not de minimis. But I think there's a distinction in this case because in Leonard versus Bethlehem, it was actually dealing with a subdivision. And the court in that decision was very careful to point that out, saying, the lot in question was 15,000 square feet. They should have had 16,000. So when you looked at the shortfall, it was over 6%. Here, this is an existing lot that was carved out years ago. Nobody ever built on it, used for fill. And I think that separates it because I don't think Leonard versus the city of Bethlehem dealt with a situation where you're talking about lack of square footage for two-family detached. So I would submit that, in my estimation, I think this is de minimis, where we're talking 200 square feet per lot, and we're well over what everybody in the immediate area has per dwelling unit. Talk about the 2,000 across the street, less than 1,200 just.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pfeiffer, is there anything you needed for the record?
There's not. Thank you.
There's not.
And then with respect to the height, I think it's really the slope that's an issue. And the question becomes, if you don't grant a variance for the garage, we would just fill that in and then meet the height anyway. I think it's preferable to have the garage me, I think this is an ideal situation for this area because you're gonna have almost 6 cars on the street if you need it.
One question about the garage. Is it a two-car garage?
Yes.
One side for each tenant, or would it just be for the person living on the?
We're just in the preliminary stages, but that could be addressed, possibly one for each tenant, yes.
Okay, because
The
then,
other, the
you
other
know,
reality though is when you have a 2-car, you may want to dedicate it to the unit that's right above it, so when I
Right.
hear the door open and close, so
Right.
the other would
right, and any kind of privacy.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Then you have to have something going on in the garage to
Correct.
separate
Right, very good point.
the two.
Are there any questions from members of the audience? Seeing none,
Nothing further. I mean, Mr. Paul heard about the Leonard case.
right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Jane, we're going to go off the record. You want to go outside on this one?
It's up to you.
Why don't we just head on out on this one?
Thanks for the warning.
Gene, I'd like to go back on the record. May I have a motion from a member of the board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the appeal of Frederick Ronk on behalf of Lovely Day Properties LLC to construct a two-family detached dwelling at 801, 803 Atlantic Street, per the drawings and as testified.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Novatnik,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yes, your
Thank you.
appeal's been granted. I wish you good luck with the project.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't Mr. Valani anymore.
That's why I looked up. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I was just saying,
"Oh."
yeah, that's a dirty trick when I don't have my glasses on, you guys.
This is a different.
Thank you, I couldn't resist. And I believe the final hearing that's on our agenda to be considered tonight is that of 1763 Madison Avenue and the appeal of David Ronka. Attorney Holzer, can you tell us when the property was posted, please?
January 31st.
I thank you, and I believe everyone has been sworn. Were you sworn in, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay. In which case, Mr. Piper, can we ask you for the facts of the case?
This property is located at 1763 Madison Avenue. This is the appeal of David Ronka to construct a three-story structure containing 12 multifamily dwellings, which requires additional variances to reduce the minimum side yard setback, 15 feet required, 10 feet proposed, and to reduce the minimum separation distance between dwellings and parking, 15 feet required, 9 feet proposed. The lot is irregular in shape, totaling 22,971 square feet, and is located in the RT High Density Residential Zoning District.
Thank you.
I missed the date that was posted. What?
January 31st.
Thank you.
Okay, Attorney Holzer.
I'll call our first and only witness, Mr. Ronka. Mr. Ronka, would you state your name and address for the record, please?
David Ronka, 276 East Makeda Road, Bethlehem.
And are you the principal of Makeda Partners LLC?
I am.
And does Makeda Partners own this piece of real estate at this point?
Yes.
And what's the zoning district for this property?
The zoning district is RT.
Okay. And where is it located? How would you describe getting there to the board?
It is located at 1763 Madison Avenue, which is immediately south of the Bethlehem Memorial Park Cemetery. That's located on the corner of at the intersection of Dewberry and Madison.
Okay, so if you were going Dewberry, you'd go south on Madison.
South on Madison, and it would be the first property on the right at the end of the cemetery.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask if we could approach.
If you would, please, please take the microphone with you. Yes, the long cord. There you go.
You can use the same easel you used before.
Yeah, that one seemed to work all right.
Same
It's just a
easel.
little on the shaky side, but.
All right, Dave. Make sure I have these right set up. I'm going to ask that this be marked applicant's exhibit A1. Can you describe to the board what this drawing shows? First of all, let's start over here. Was this the initial property you purchased?
This was the initial property This was the initial property I purchased at 1763 Madison.
And what was on the property at the time?
There's an existing residence with a detached three-car garage.
And what condition were those structures in when you purchased?
The garage is in relatively good condition. The house has seen its better days, put it that way.
Okay, and it's your intention to raise those at this point?
That is correct.
Over here, there's a red line on the south side of this property, and it shows a shared driveway.
That's correct.
Okay. And if you eliminate the garage, are you going to make some provision for the next door neighbor to continue to use that driveway?
Yes, I am.
And we'll get into that with the
Okay.
plan. Now, over here, the red line continues past what you originally acquired from a private owner. Can you describe to the board what this area, and I'm pointing out the area with striped lines in it?
This area represents the existing unimproved Memorial Avenue.
And when you say unimproved, it was just a grassy area?
That is correct. It is a grassy area.
And this, to the right is the cemetery property,
It is-
and it backs up to it. And then in this area, what did the cemetery maintain for years? What did you move?
Oh, there was an existing stone monument with a Last Supper bronze plaque on it that we.
And did we file a right to know with the city of Bethlehem as to the status of this paper street?
Yes, we did.
And did they indicate that they had never accepted it for dedication? It was dedicated back in 1920 or so, and that they had no utilities in the line.
That is correct.
And in addition, there would be no ability for a car to go through here, because of the memorial or the monument. What type of trees were in here?
There's existing some very large existing pine trees and another deciduous tree somewhere up in the western end of it.
Okay. And in addition, is there existing curbing out front?
Yes, there is
So-
existing curbing along
I
Madison.
couldn't cross here to get
No.
into the property.
No.
because of the curb that's existing, and it's been there for some time, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, when we talked with the city about it, we talked to them about the fact that since this was a dedicated but unaccepted paper street, that half of this, and this was sort of tailored down so that if Memorial Avenue were ever built, it would have come out at a 90-degree angle with Madison Avenue. Is that?
That's correct.
But basically, the cemetery and the owner here would have split the property subject to a joint easement across for both sides to you.
Correct.
But as far as being never accepted for dedication, the public would have no rights to go through here.
Correct.
It's only for those who would need it. Now, the cemetery is owned by Stonemore Properties.
Yes, Stonemore Properties.
And did you have an opportunity to consult with them on a local and national level as to what you were proposing to do here?
Yes.
And did you come to an agreement as to, instead of separating this this paper street half and half, did you come to an agreement to divide it along this red line here that's 90 degrees to Madison Avenue?
Yes, we did.
So this property would enjoy the use of all of this, and they would have a squared off frontage up here. Now, in addition to any other consideration, what happened with the monument? What did you agree to do with that?
We agreed to relocate the monument
At
from
your expense?
at my expense, which was originally located at the approximate center line of what would have been the Memorial Avenue right away, and relocated to the to Bethel Memorial Mark. I'm sorry, it's located down in this area, I believe, Jim. Yeah. Relocated it to Bethel Memorial.
And is it safe to say that the monument was not in the best condition? It really needed a lot of
Yes.
renovation?
Yes, it was. I'd estimate no less than 40 to 50 years old, and it did need required
And is it
reconstruction.
my understanding you completed that?
That is correct. That is
To the
completed.
satisfaction of the cemetery.
Yes.
And in fact, do we have deeds in escrow where they're signing off to everything here? And I'm showing what's on the left of the line that's perpendicular to Madison, and you've signed off on everything over here.
That is correct.
Now, I'm just going to put this down for a minute, if I may. I'm going to ask you about your proposal. Oh, and is it safe to say that even getting this line, it's still a relatively odd shaped lot because of this angle?
Yes. Yes.
So what is your proposal for this track?
As Jim mentioned earlier, I first proposed to demolish the existing home and detached garage, which, if you remember from the other drawing, was located over here on the more southern side of the property. And
Garage back.
with the garage back here, correct. With that said, I propose to construct a 3-story, 12 dwelling unit apartment building. Obviously with the parking, 23, I believe we have 23 parking spaces to the south of it on the property, as well as all of the required improvements.
Let me ask this, in the RT zone, multifamily is allowed housing, is that correct?
That is correct.
And in addition, this is a 3-story building. That's allowed, is that correct?
That's correct.
In addition, in the RT zone, could you have even gone up to 4 or even 5 stories?
Yes.
And what would have been if you had done that, what would have been the maximum number of units you could have had in there?
Based on the, we would have been permitted to build 19 units.
So your testimony is this is a 3-story building with 12 units in it, correct?
Correct.
Why did you keep it at 3 stories and just 12 units?
I felt it would be more fitting for the neighborhood.
Okay. And in fact, down the street, isn't there what looks to be a 3-story
Yes.
building not too far from here? In addition, just for purposes of the board's information, what's across the street? Is that multifamily housing?
Yes, there is.
Is that the Carver?
The Carver House.
You know who lives in the N unit that would see this most?
He's representing me here.
In any event, so when this came up, did you have an opportunity to take this to the planning commission for what I'd call sketch plan or looking at a drawing like that?
Yes, we did.
And was it favorably received?
It was favorably received.
Okay, now, earlier we talked about the existing driveway here.
Correct.
You're not going to need it anymore.
No.
But you're going to continue to let the neighbor use it, is that correct? And the neighbor's garage is back in here, it actually comes over.
Correct.
And what will you do, what did the planners say and the planning department about a separation between the driveway and the parking lot?
We plan to put up a privacy fence along the
What would you-
separating and a privacy fence with a 2-foot buffer planting strip.
And that's what's required.
That's what's required under the code.
And in addition, how well built is this driveway right now? Does it need some work?
It does need some work.
And did you indicate when you would do this work and you'd be doing paving here, you would pave this for the neighbor?
That is correct.
And you're going to eliminate or cut off into what would have been your garage.
Exactly.
Now, as I understand it, this meets all of the dimensional requirements for this zone with respect to 2 issues. One is there's a 15-foot side yard setback. And I understand this corner of the building, this triangle, goes into the 15-foot setback. Is that the variance you're here?
That's the variance.
Is that the one variance? you're
Yes,
seeking?
that's the variance we're seeking.
In addition, there's another variance where there's a requirement to be 15 feet away, building to parking lot. I know this has been something that comes up in a lot of developments throughout, and I've been involved in obtaining a lot of variances with respect to that. Initially, I understood it really dealt with fire concerns and things like that. Have you gone to the fire department with this?
Yes, I have.
And they're comfortable with a 9-foot?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And was this also shown to the planning commission?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask that this be marked A2. And then,
Jim, do we want to comment on the easement
oh, yeah.
that was between the 2 properties so everyone understands that?
Yeah, there was actually an easement where they would share the driveway so that Mr. Bronca could drive on that side of the driveway and vice versa.
Yes, both properties had the existing home here, Cott's home, is located 4 feet off the property line, and they have by deed a 4-foot easement through my property, and likewise I have a 4-foot easement through their property.
Yeah, that's what this line is.
Yeah.
And that's where the driveway would stay. We would continue to own half of that driveway only for purposes of density and square footage.
Exactly.
But
We will no longer need I will no longer need my 4-foot easement through his property.
And I'm
Is
sure the
basically.
planning commission would have us make a note on the plan. Now, do you understand this has to go back to the planning
Yes.
commission for full development plan approval?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you describe, we're going to ask that this be marked A3. Can you describe to the board what this shows?
These are the front, rear, and side elevations of the proposed building.
Now, what's unique about this when you say the front elevation? Which way will the building sit?
The building will, the front elevation of the building will actually be south facing.
So it's going to face the neighbor, the houses along the street. And that would mean the parking would be out front.
That's correct.
Was it felt that the best side of any development like this is really the front, and you wanted to expose that to the neighbors so that they had the best elevation?
Correct.
Rather than something in the rear. And then this is
That would be the rear elevation, which is north facing.
so this would be overlooking the cemetery?
That's correct.
Are you planning balconies or patios or anything?
Yes.
in there?
Each unit would have a balcony.
And would it be safe to say any of the existing trees that you're going to take down, you're going to have to replace with other trees and things?
Yes.
And then this is a typical side elevation, and I guess at this point, it's really shown as vinyl siding,
That's correct.
but in the zoning code under section 1311, it talks about the frontage of a building, it says that fronts the street, and this would be Madison Avenue side, that it must consist of only a certain limited amount of
Vinyl siding.
vinyl
Right.
siding. But as I understand it, and Mr. Piper, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a matter for the planning department, planning staff. It's not something we ask for variance from necessarily here.
Typically, that would be correct, but I would add to that that we've already worked with the developer on this particular facade and have concurred that he's meeting the intent of the ordinance by making the masonry facade on the first floor and changing the facade material up in the gable ends of the roof.
So basically what we're saying is, if you look at the other side, it was all vinyl. That would be the side, what would that face in the rear?
The
Park.
the park.
Right.
Yeah. That's the west side.
There's a park back in there, the Little League Park and so forth. So you're proposing to use what would be down in here?
Exactly. Yeah. The both east and west elevations will be typical.
Right, so whatever you do here, you do on the.
We would do on the other side.
And what would go up in here, or you're still in the process?
We're still in the process of finalizing those details, but
And you would agree, you would stipulate that, you would leave that up to negotiating that with the planning department.
Correct.
And planning commission. Essentially, the city would like to see more than just vinyl siding here, but it's a question of where you break it up.
correct.
Okay. Now, let me. Who prepared these plans?
The architectural plans or the civil plans, Jim?
As a matter of fact.
These were prepared by Dynamic Engineering, and the architectural plan was prepared by Thomas Maloney.
All right.
Guess you were just eliminated.
So now,
we'll have a
there's only
Yeah,
two
no,
people.
no.
Is there anybody on?
There's 5 people on, 7 now.
Okay, so we went over that. You'd gone through the fire department, the privacy fence. We talked about the front location. And finally, I believe we have floor plan.
That's correct. Yeah, I think it's one of those, Jim. The last one. Probably the yeah.
And could you describe to the board, I'm gonna make sure that that's correct. Could you describe to the board what this shows? And I think this is A4. If I'm not
That's what I have.
This is the current proposed floor plan of the building for the apartment units. This would be the south or main entrance front side, if you will, coming in a common corridor entrance. These would be the front units, and these are the rear units
And you say, when you say rear, those are the ones
facing the cemetery. Sorry,
and then each of the 3 floors would have a similar.
they're all yes, all every floor would be the same. They're approximately 1,200 square foot, give or take a few feet here and there.
And while you have been doing the work out there with the moving the monument and clearing the property, have any of the neighbors talked to you about this?
Yes, several of the neighbors have approached me.
And have you gone into detail with what you're?
Yes, I have.
And I assume none of them indicated they were here to
No one expressed any objections.
And when this property was first acquired, wasn't there a large white vinyl fence around it?
There was.
And it was kind of the storage area within the fence. So do you think this would be a vast improvement for this area?
I think it would be a significant improvement.
Okay. And do you think this is staying at the 3 stories? Do you think that's a reasonable compromise in order to justify that corner of the building being 5 feet into the side yard setback and having just the 9 feet in front of the building?
Yes, I do.
Because otherwise, if you went to 4 stories, you could do this as a matter of right.
Exactly.
And would it be your testimony that a 4-story building would really stick out there?
I think it would be, yes, too overbearing for the surrounding homes and so forth.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Lee, any questions?
I'm just curious, around on the other plan, on the boundary where the cemetery is that going to be a road at all, or is it just like
No,
grass?
that's all grass area. Exactly.
Okay.
A lot of people walk on the grass in the cemetery to go to the park and stuff, so that's that opportunity.
And there won't be a fence they can just cross right?
We do intend to erect a fence ultimately along there.
Okay, and obviously they enter into the parking lot from Madison Avenue?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And there's enough room for a fire truck?
Yes, we've already
That's
the
a 9-foot that you're requesting?
Yes.
They can get through there? I have no.
Thank you. Mr. Novotny.
I have no questions.
I actually have no questions either. Attorney Fall?
I have no questions.
Mr. Pfeiffer, anything you need to clarify?
I have no questions. Thank you.
If I may, not to disappoint you.
Oh, I
didn't
little,
want Mr. David Rocket to think that we were shortchanging our representation.
We were going to turn the engine, I'll tell you right now.
Uh-oh, I have to get another one for Greg. I have one.
All right, and just to go through the formality, I presume there are no questions from members of the audience.
No, those are my 2 sons. They're going to be over there working.
Okay. Having
Thank
said
you.
that, Attorney Holzer, do you have any closing comments?
Well, again, I think these are relatively de minimis, but I also think the lot shape, despite what Mr. Ronca has acquired, still has that angle cut off in the back, and we're still limited as to distance. As this board knows, with respect to that 15 feet out front, in those situations where the fire department is still satisfied that they can do what they need to do in the event of an emergency, this board is granted relief, I think, even greater than 6 feet at times. So I think we're given a pretty healthy distance there. And like I say, that the side yard, it's really back in that corner.
Right.
And it may move or shift a little bit depending where the building lies. So I think it meets the standard for the hardship that anybody would. Oh, yeah, the set, yes, correct. Along that whole street, all the setbacks are less than 50 feet of homes that are existing. So we're consistent with the neighborhood. It's obviously on the cemetery side. Okay, don't do it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they didn't come out ready. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Gene, we're going to go off the record. Would you like to go outside to discuss this, or? And why don't you come in here? It seems that the matters are.
You going out or no?
No,
Just
we're
wanna
just
stay
going to
here?
ask
I
you to
can
close in
hear
a
you
little
better.
bit. Is there anything that?
No.
Again, on the one setback, it's only the corner.
How's your mom?
Yeah, that's very small.
When you looked over at me,
I mean,
I knew.
this much.
Yeah, I know. My mom. Well, I talked to my mom a couple. I guess it.
Yeah, no emails or anything.
No.
You still see him?
There must have been some discussion. I think if you're inclined to.
Oh my God.
It's actually in representation with what they displayed here.
Well, that letter,
We
the
were
letter
kids,
from planning commission.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to read. Here's one. This is way back in December. they supported it. And over here,
There's two conditions that
Yeah.
the planning commission is requesting the zoning hearing board to adopt. I don't have a problem with those,
Yeah.
but you're the people who make that decision.
I have none. I glanced.
I knew you lived on McCade. I just didn't know which house.
this should say,
Let me just clarify.
They hang around with his
Let me
nephews.
go back. I'd
Naz's
like to go back
nephews.
on record.
My
make
son's-
sure that-
His other brother owns, or Naz's brother owns.
All right, Gene, I'd like to go back on the record. And Attorney Holzinger, we need to clarify one
Sure.
matter with you, and it pertains to a memo from the Planning Commission, I believe.
Yes.
The letter of City of Bethlehem, November 24th, requests that the zoning hearing board variances be granted, subject to the conditions they put in that letter.
If I may, I believe, Mr. Ronco, you spoke with Darlene Heller about the adjustment to 9 feet when the building was being shifted.
Yes.
I think the letter mentions like 10 and a half feet or something. Is that the question regarding setback from parking?
7 feet, 8
Yeah.
inches, 11 feet, 4 inches.
It was yes, it was originally 7 feet, 8 inches, and then we increased it to 9.
Okay.
Right.
But that decreases the
Decreases
amount
the
of
request. That's correct.
variance.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So you are willing to accept the conditions that these proposed by planning?
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank you.
All right. In which case, I would welcome a motion from a member of the board.
Mr. Chairman, I propose that the amendments requested by David Ronca for construction at 1763 Madison Avenue be granted, subject to further review and consultation with the Planning Commission.
In accord with the letter of November 24?
Right, November 24th, 2021.
Thank you.
second,
Thank you. Mr. Piper?
Ms. Lee,
yes.
Mr. Novatnik,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Okay,
The
thank you.
appeal's been granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And having no other business before the zoning hearing board this evening, this meeting is adjourned.